Hello and welcome back to another new edition of Windows and Current Affairs. And today, of course, nobody in Egypt would be talking about nothing but the major event, which is the Golden Pharaohs Parade, and what is associated with this particular huge grand event, hilarious, something that caught the eyes of the whole world, that all the media outlets were talking about, and of course something that is even equally important to that major event, which is the new location of the mummies, which is the National Museum of Egyptian History. Of course, that particular place is another story in its own right. Of course, the whole world was focusing over the mummies that were transferred from Tahrir Square all the way down to downtown Cairo, Al Fustat, to the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. But really, there wasn't enough focus over that particular huge museum, which would catch your eyes. I was talking before air with my dear guest, who I'm going to talk to in a few seconds, about even the space that is provided there, the location, the geographical location, the importance, the activities, everything that is associated with the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization would really catch your attention and catch admiration. We're very delighted to be having a prominent guest here with me, Mr. Mahrous Al Sanadili. He is chief creator of National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, and he is also a PhD researcher in heritage and museum studies. And good evening, Mr. Sanadili. And let me first congratulate you or greet you over the arrival of the very, very famous or popular worldwide mummies, Egyptian mummies, that arrived at your very precious museum earlier on Saturday.
Good evening, and thank you for this introduction. And I am happy today to talk about the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization.
Of course, and we're very eager.
Especially, it was opened by the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in last Saturday.
Yes.
And in attendance of the Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli and Dr. Khalid Al-Anani, the Minister of Tourism and Antiquities, and in attendance of the Director of UNESCO and Director of World Tourism Organization. And it was a great event witnessed by Egyptian and all the world, and witnessed that Egypt is a great country and has a great history. And so it is a good witness for us that we have a great civilization, a great history.
Of course, we're gonna talk about that step by step, but let me first take a flashback into last week's or last Saturday's huge event that stunned the whole world. As you can see it over here, the Golden Pharaohs Parade and all the shows that were associated with that parade, all the way down to Al Fustat, which is another beautiful area. Are we going to show now something that is related to the parade in a few moments? Okay, let's go to see some pic of the parade, and we'll come back to you. Welcome back, and still with our dear guest, Chief Creator of National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, of course, Mr. Mahrous Al Sanadili. And let me tell you that he was on top of the team who created what you saw right now, or what we saw on Saturday. They hosted that celebration, part of it, of course, as one part was at Al Tahrir Museum at Tahrir Square, and the rest of it, or the base of it, the foundation of it, was at the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization in Al Fustat, which is the location that amazed your hearts, and the scenery and everything is in that museum, right?
Right, right.
So tell us about it. How did you receive that? What was the spirit? Because it was, we the viewers, it's unspeakable. The spirit and the what we felt watching that magic that night was unbelievable, unspeakable, we couldn't describe it in words. So talk to us about the preparations and the spirit of your team back then at that time on Saturday.
So at first it was a dream to see this event and the action, and to show that Egyptian still has a history, has a lot of activity and skills for organization. And this event show us how Egyptian can organize great events, and this events was produced and was covered by more 400 international and national channels. And about me and my colleague, we are working. We were working very hard from 1 year up to now until this event, by establishing a core exhibition and establishing a gallery for mummies and so on. And we organized everything inside the museum, by promotion, by banners, and we helped and supported the people who are organized this action by shooting a film about museum, about the action while we are working in exhibition and preparing showcases and every steps in exhibition works.
Of course, the whole world have seen your efforts. It came into action. It was not only something that we would hear about or told in to be described by words, but into action. But let me talk about the geographical location, which is very, very distinguished, of your museum, the museum that we're talking about. Talk to us about it.
I have to talk at first to our audience about what's the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. National Museum of Egyptian Civilization is a promising museum institution, a promising culture center, a promising scientific research center, a promising place for international and national dialogue, and a promising touristic destination. For many reasons. The first reason, the geographical location. Our museum is located in Fustat, and Fustat is located in heart of Cairo. And this part was a part of Maadi culture, and Maadi culture was one of the most famous culture in prehistorical time. And this culture was very famous for making pottery since 6,000 years and up to now. And this craft is still existing in Fustat. As well, the museum is near from Papillon Fortress from Roman time, and near from Hanging Church, one of the oldest churches in Egypt.
So it is right in the middle of all those cultures?
Yes, 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 of course. and also near from Amr ibn al-As Mosque, the oldest mosque in Egypt. And to north of our museum, there is a wall of Magra al-Uyun from Ayyubid time. And this wall was providing citadel with water. And also we can see citadel, Saladin citadel, with its archaeological and historical features.
Is it observed from over there?
Yeah,
Can I see it?
we can see. And we can see the mosque and the mausoleum of Imam al-Shafi'i. And also our museum is looking overlooking in Ain al-Sira natural lake. As also from the top of our museum, we can see all landmarks of Cairo. We can see Giza pyramids. We can see Saqqara pyramids. We can see Cairo towers. We can see Muqattam mountains with features and some building above this mountain as Guyushi Mosque from Fatimid period. And this location is a good location as a representative for all Egyptian civilization.
Right. So the choice of the location was for all that reasons, or because of the space? Because we're going to talk about the location and Ain al-Sira later on, because it's very important. Also, it was totally renovated. But the choice of the location, was it on purpose?
Of course. I'd like to mention that the first location of our museum should be instead of modern opera house, but this location moved to this area, but this area it's the best example and best location and good location for Egyptian civilization through the ages, because as I aforementioned, a lot of sightseeing from different civilization, from prehistorical period, from Pharaonic time, from Greek-Roman time, from Coptic, from Islamic, and modern time. And we can see the tombs of royal family of Muhammad Ali from our museum. And we can talk about the landscape around the museum. As well, the museum is very huge museum. Its size is about 33 acres and contain spaces about more 100,000 square meters for different.
We're going to jump to that. Remind me to go into that, because also this is of another important level. But let me talk about the location, because the location in its own right is very, very significant. If I'm not going to go to take a look or overlook various cultures in Egyptian history, if I'm not planning to go and take a look over the various cultures of Egyptian history in that particular museum, then I should go to overlook all those sites and those cultural locations in Egypt. Yeah. So the location, and that's why you created spaces or created different activities inside that museum, so that you could make the best use out of that location, right?
It's right. So we are organizing many events and many forums, many training, and we try to engage our community around us. And if you look to this area before building our museum, it was unbelievable. This area, it was a slum area and surrounded by
it was a little bit neglected, just like anywhere else in the world.
Yeah. But when the museum started in this area changed completely.
But even before the development of the museum, let us give the government the current government credit of developing and renovating, because I've been there and seen it, the whole area surrounding, especially Ain Sira. It's another totally different, a whole new level of a location that you could go and visit. You can never believe that this is the old area, which is also a huge achievement by the government. But let us go back to the museum. The museum in its own right has a very significant location. Then it was decided that it could be a venue over cultural history of Egypt, the different dynasties, different ages, cultural ages in ancient, not in ancient because you don't like that particular description, but for Egypt.
Yeah, and one of the most important thing for this museum is displaying all Egyptian civilization.
Right, I was going to ask you the question about this.
He's talking about all civilization from more to 2 million years ago up to now,
right.
Passing through.
What exactly are you establishing inside? If I need to go, I as a visitor, Egyptian visitor, of course, tourists, that's another story, and lucky them, they have the whole vacation. It would take them a week to go and observe what you're preparing or you have in store for every tourist who's coming over to see. But let me talk about someone, a local visitor, who needs to take a look with his family over the different cultural ages in history. What have you prepared in store for the visitors to be able to reflect that history? What do you have inside that museum?
So we have a certain plan for exhibition, and we are collecting objects related to every civilization from everywhere, from Egyptian museum, from Coptic museum, from Islamic museum, from Greek-Roman museum, from sites in different places, Aswan, Luxor, Saqqara, Giza, Delta, to express about different civilization, different culture, and also we collect intangible heritage related to Egyptian civilization. Intangible heritage or oral heritage or traditional heritage about custom, tradition in everywhere in Egypt, in Sinai, in Nubia, in Oasis, in Delta, in Upper Egypt, and we are searching about creativity and skills and the knowledge of Egyptian through ages, from 2 million years up to now. As example, we are displaying in our museum that we opened last Saturday, object from 2 million years, stone tools, and we would try to tell our visitors the story of Egyptian life at that time. He created stone tools and developed these tools.
That is from the Stone Age?
Yeah, we can call Stone Age or prehistorical period.
Or the prehistorical dynasty?
Before dynasty.
Before dynasty.
Yeah, it is extending from more 2,300,000 years ago, 2,000,000,3,000 to 3,100 BC. 3,100 BC is the time of unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. We talk about how Egyptian developed the stone tools from people stone to hand axe to micro stone tools, which he used in different usage as knife, saw, scalpel, scrape, and arrows for hunting the animals. And we have an interesting collection from different time and that time. Plus, we have a good collection from culture, from proto-dynasty cultures, as Nakada culture. there are many culture before unification or before dynasties, as Fayoum, as Nakada, Merimd Bani Salama, Dir Tasa, Maadi, and so, and we are displaying a lot of artifacts. Incredible.
Exactly. But before we talk about this, I need to know the programs that you are that you have created in that particular museum in order to be able to exhibit what you're talking about. You have, for example, created departments. Let me say, you have created screens to be able to play documentaries, or how do you display that, or how do you exhibit that? And also, do you have people who are professional at hosting the visitors and explaining to them, or usually the tourists are accompanied by the tour guides? I mean, if Egyptians or any other people, visitors, normal visitors are coming, so am I supposed to be escorted by someone who could explain for me? Should I be watching documentaries? What type of programs inside and departments are inside that?
We are targeting everyone from 2 years forever, and and we are using different methods for exhibition. We use the labels, we use the banners, we use the documentary film, you use the animation, tablet, graphic, and the interactive screen, and the mobile application to try to address with new generation. And we choose a new system for showcases, for light system, and a lot of things which attract our visitors. And plus this, we choose a masterpieces which refer to creativity, skills, and knowledge of Egyptian through ages, not prehistorical only, Pharaonic, related to Greek-Roman, related to Coptic, related to Islamic civilization, modern and contemporary. As example, we are displaying tools for agriculture from 5,000 years ago. How Egyptian invented these tools as wooden axe, wooden circles, and storage. And we talk about making bread or bread making. We talk about architecture. We talk about writing and the writing system in ancient Egypt.
The different cultural ages.
And about medicine, about leather handwork, about textile handwork.
Different industries also.
And also we focus on creativity for ancient of Egyptian through ages. About as example and pioneering things or ideas and pieces and invention related to Egyptian. As example, we are displaying one of the oldest water watch in the world. Dates back 3,350 years ago. It is belonging to the king, King Amenhotep III, and we display one of the oldest artificial toe.
Right, but explain to us the museum from inside, the different departments. Before air, we were talking about the different departments that you created inside. You have a theater, you have a movie theater also, you have a screen, screens, different screens, and plasma screens also. You have a library, and what exactly do you have inside it? How did you create?
We are offering different services and activities in our museum. We offering cultural events. We have a theater hall with 500 seats. We have a cinema hall with 330 seats, and we are organizing artistic events, and we are organizing training workshop, and we have 5 classes for museum education, lecture hall, and we organizing a lot of event with national and international institution and so on. And about and we have labs for conservation according to material. We have labs for wood, for textile, for manuscript, for metal, for glass, for different things, for architecture elements, for restoration. And we have also a scientific research center equipped by the modern or the latest devices and the machine. As example, we have labs for DNA, we have labs for chemistry and carbon 14 and UV and microbiology, and we have anoxia machine to clean and sanitize the object. When we are receiving the object, we should insert inside some machine to kill bacteria and insects and so called anoxia.
That may attack the mummies.
Yeah.
Let us go back to the mummies and all the artifacts, the very, very precious things that come from museums from the pharaohs' dynasties. How do you deal with it, and where do you have it inside the museum?
Yeah.
Of course, most of the visits are coming directly to see the mummies.
Yeah, the mummies is a distinguished exhibition gallery in the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization for many reasons. And we have a quarantine rooms or magazine to keep the mummies in good preservation. And this quarantine equipped by devices to producing nitrogen, and nitrogen is a material to keep and preserve the mummies in good condition. And also about the galleries of the mummies galleries,
So you have
is equipped by special showcases provided with nitrogen, provided by monitoring system to measure temperature, to measure humidity, and also use some things as a simulation for the tombs in the Valley of the Kings. We try to interact with our visitors by giving them at the first simulation. We take we give an imagination for visitor to imagine that he is inside the Valley of the King and inside one of the tomb in the Valley of the King, and to imagine how ancient Egyptian were burying the mummies and around the mummy, and we will add more value.
You display cultural programs or movies to be able to set awareness about the history and, of ancient Egypt and other histories, and especially when it comes to visiting the mummies. You are also giving documentaries at the same time, parallel to the visit.
Of course.
So that it would set awareness to the visitors about how ancient Egyptians used to bury the people, their deceased.
Yeah, of course. And also we prepared special things for the visitors of the mummy. We show CT scan for 2 kings, how these kings were died, such as the king Seknen-Ra. Seknen-Ra was died while he was fighting against Hyksos, and so he was killed, and he was by new CT scan shows us new evidence that this king tried to defend himself while the enemies
Were attacking
were attacking him and hit him, and we found a lot of wounds in his body, and this mummies was examined by Dr. Sahar Salim, and published a new research in Natural Science magazine about this story, and this are new things for our visitors to know, and he can explore by himself in the museum gallery. Besides also the mummy of King Ramses III. Ramses III also was examined by CT scan to show our visitors how this king was died. Also was died in plotting or conspiracy, and so we.
So you play a movie also.
Movie and CT scan, CT scan radio to show the details inside the mummy. Because the ancient Egyptian, while making embalming for the mummy, was putting some things, amulets inside the body, and we couldn't see by naked eye, but we saw through CT scan, and I think this new experience for our visitor when
That
we
does
will
not harm
see
the mummy?
when we
It does not. It doesn't harm it.
No. But we try to give new experience for our visitors to explore by
This
himself.
is accompanied by an escort who would do the explanation or try to accompany the visitors.
Yes, as this. So, but we take a help from different association and professors for display and to give
interpreters
for to give new interpretation for the antiquities and especially mummies by using specialists in each field. We have a specialist in chemistry, we have a specialist in DNA, and we have a specialist in microbiology, in biochemistry, in botany, in zoology, and so. And this enrich our knowledge and information about our heritage, and so we target new visitors, new audience, and even anyone wanted to study and to make research, Egyptian students or foreign student would like to come to make research and examination for anything in our museum, he can make his experiment in different labs, and I think this new experience and new experiment in Egypt and in over world to try to link or relate the theoretical studies with application studies.
Right. What other departments do you have besides the mummy departments? I mean, do you have other departments that display ancient history in a exceptional modern way? Like you talked to me about other departments that talked about describing how Egypt flourished in agriculture and in different ages that followed agricultural age and all this stuff. Do you have new ideas that display that?
Yeah, of course. Our museum has 23,000 square meters for exhibition. Now we opened a core exhibition. Core exhibition is considered as an introduction for other themes that we will display in future. We will prepare and establish a gallery about Egyptian in dawn of civilization, about writing, about Nile River, about state and society, about beliefs and thinking,
reincarnation,
about material culture, and also about embalming or mummification. So now we are displaying mummies, but before mummies we should display, make exhibition and display about embalming, the process
Do you
of.
have a program that talks about that?
Yeah, we have a program for that, but this need a lot of money, and
It needs funding,
and
of
yeah,
course.
and we try to start step by step. We, as example, we opened a temporary gallery as a soft opening in 2017, called the Egyptian Crafts Through Ages, and we the Egyptian crafts. Yeah, through the ages.
The ages.
Yeah.
Amazing idea.
Yeah. And we try to link the museum with the community around the museum. As example, Fustat is famous for making pottery, making textile. And near Fustat, Khan al-Khalili is famous for making jewelry. And
accessory, different silver accessory.
And there are many areas in Egypt is famous for making woodworking or carpentry till Dumyat, and we try to tell Egyptian you have a long history for these crafts from more 10,000 years ago. You have experience, you have skills, and these skills developed through ages, and also refer to custom and tradition in each time. And the Egyptian mind developed their self according to new science, new instruction, new ideas, new thinking.
What programs do you have
new
for
culture that came to Egypt as in Greco-Roman time.
Right.
So there are interaction between Egyptian civilization and Greco-Roman civilization and Coptic, Islamic, and also in modern time. And we are displaying incredible object, and each object you can tell and talk about each object a lot of many hours.
Of course, and that's why we would. I would suggest that we would have another episode on a promise of you that you would come with some footage with you of inside of that museum, so that our viewers could see it. I was going to talk to you about the programs, but I prefer to bring our viewers some of the best pics of that very, very special day, the Golden Ferris Parade. Let's go and watch it, and we'll come back to you. Unfortunately, we ran out of time. We had, of course, like, of course, Mr. Mahrous just said, we have still a lot to say about that very, very special day, and until the end of the world, and until the end of history, we still have a lot to say about that very unforgettable day, a day that we will remember in history. It will be marked on the calendar of every country. I've seen the grandeur of the rich history of Egypt, and have exhibited one part of a fraction of what we own. We still own a lot. We still have a lot to exhibit. Inshallah, very soon we will be stunning the whole world with more shows, better shows like that, even equally beautiful. With the calibers from like Mr. Mahrous and all his team, and the administration of the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization in Al Fustat. Many thanks to them, and to all the people who participated in that unforgettable event. Mr. Mahrous Al Sanadili, you are Chief Creator of the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, and you're also a PhD researcher in Heritage and Museum Studies. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and I invite
and congratulations.
Thank you very much for this congratulation, and I invite you to
of course,
shorten
I
our
expected
museum.
that. I was waiting
and,
to hear that.
I invite everyone, Egyptian or non-Egyptian, to come to visit us, to enjoy with us, with the location, with the exhibition, with the facilities that we have in our museum, and have a good luck.
Inshallah, and it's a real pleasure for us as Egyptians, and for everyone who's coming to see Egypt, or coming on a vacation to Egypt, to go and see the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. If you've been to National Museum of Ancient Civilization in New York, Manhattan, it is nothing. It's not even 1/4 of the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization here in Egypt. Not because of that we are Egyptians, but because we own real history, we own a lot of ideas, and we own the mummies there. So we would invite you to come and have a look over that museum in El Fustat, downtown Cairo. Thank you so much, and we would end it here with this edition of Windows and Current Affairs, and until we see you again next week, that's a goodbye.